What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is M, and today we will be discussing modifying a 2003 to 2008 5.7 liter Hemi, also known as a pre-Eagle 5.7 liter Hemi. Valve seat drop is a well-known issue with these pre-Eagle 5.7 liter motors, as well as the possibility of dropping valves due to broken springs or retainers letting go. It is much less common than people let on, however, it's still a risk. To start off, we have to address the heads. The pre-Eagle 5.7 liter Hemi cylinder heads are known to have issues with the valve seats, valve springs, and valve spring retainers that can result in catastrophic failure. The failure rate compared to the actual production of motors is about 5%. So your modification options are reworking your stock pre-Eagle heads, getting a valve job, and everything else, which is my least favorite option because even fully CNC ported and polished, the pre-Eagle cylinder heads only flow as much as 6.1 liter or Eagle cylinder heads. And your other option is to swap cylinder heads. Eagle cylinder heads and 6.1 liter cylinder heads are your options unless you're going aftermarket, which can get pretty pricey. Swapping to Eagle or 6.1 liter cylinder heads will result in more power, better flow, higher efficiency. It's all around a great option. Swapping to Eagle and 6.1 liter cylinder heads both require other components, so go ahead and check out my videos on each one of those cylinder head swaps if you're interested in doing so. I detail what's needed and what to expect for each cylinder head swap. And if you swap cylinder heads, that intake manifold will become a restriction. So moving forward, to take care of that choke point, you will need an intake manifold. Of course, there's aftermarket options, or you could use a 6.1 liter intake manifold, 6.4 liter intake manifold, or even an intake manifold off of one of the 2009 and up Eagle 5.7 liter Hemis. And just to quickly mention, if you use an intake manifold off of an Eagle 5.7 liter Hemi or a 6.4 liter intake manifold, you will need spacers to lift that intake manifold up to clear a boss on the front of the block. There's a boss for the coolant temp sensor on the pre-Eagle motors, so those spacers are needed to clear the boss. If you use a 6.1 liter intake manifold, you will not need spacers, it will clear the boss. Now next on the list is headers. For one, the log style exhaust manifolds on the 5.7 liter Hemis are restrictive and easily outperformed. No matter if you rework your pre-Eagle cylinder heads or swap cylinder heads, I recommend you grab some headers. And if you swap your cylinder heads, the pre-Eagle exhaust manifolds will not work with the new cylinder heads due to the difference in exhaust port. The pre-Eagle 5.7 liter Hemi has a square exhaust port, whereas all other Gen 3 Hemis are D-port. So grabbing a set of shorty headers off a 6.1 liter, 6.2 liter, or 6.4 liter powered vehicle, or grabbing an aftermarket pair of headers, whether they're long tubes or shorty headers, is going to be extremely beneficial and is highly recommended. And another thing that I highly recommend doing is sourcing some locking fasteners for your exhaust headers. It's known that the stock units have backed out and snapped, causing exhaust leaks. With zero reported failures since 1985, a set of header bolts from Stage 8 locking fasteners is sure to keep your exhaust manifolds or exhaust headers in place. Since we just spoke about cylinder heads and exhaust headers, it only makes sense to talk about a camshaft next. 5.7 liter Hemis are severely undercammed. Every other Gen 3 Hemi has a more aggressive camshaft. This also means that 5.7 liter Hemis pick up more power on average from your typical camshaft swap, with some of the more aggressive camshafts offering horsepower gains of up to 70, 80, 90, and even 100 or more horsepower. And of course, springs, retainers, push rods, and lifters are all things that must be considered when doing a camshaft swap, so keep that in mind, and check out my video on camshaft and cylinder head swaps if need be. Depending on mileage or the camshaft that you grab, or if you did a cylinder head swap, components are going to vary. Non-MDS cams require non-MDS lifters, so if you have MDS, you're required to delete it and grab yourself some non-MDS lifters. For some cylinder head swaps, custom length push rods are needed. Some cylinder head swaps, such as the 6.1 liter cylinder head swap, custom push rods are not needed. So there are many factors in play. I needed to mention that because swapping cylinder heads and or a camshaft is not as simple as some people may think it is. And I would also like to tie in something I mentioned earlier, the intake manifold being a restriction, the pre-Eagle intake manifold being a restriction. If you swap your camshaft, upgrade your springs, retainers, push rods, and everything else, and you want to rev out to 6,500 RPM, That pre-eagle intake manifold falls on its face at 5,800 RPM, so you will have a major restriction on your hands. I would just like this to be a reminder that all of these components are working together to improve efficiency and or increase horsepower. And one component such as that intake manifold could hinder performance greatly. And to tie it all together, you will of course need a custom tune. If you want or need a more in-depth rundown on tuning options for Gen 3 Hemi powered vehicles, go ahead and check out my video on that right up here. Moving forward, I would like to discuss a high volume oil pump for melling. It is thought that a lack of lubrication at low RPM and idle is one of the main factors for the Hemi tick. I will be installing one here shortly when I pull the motor. And depending on what you plan on doing with this engine and the mileage, I would suggest possibly grabbing a new water pump and a timing chain set, to say the least, just to make sure you are squared away. I believe this is a great way to start off modifying a pre-eagle 5.7 liter Hemi. The only other option that I would really see is forced induction at 6 to 8 psi and praying that a valve seat does not drop. It is a very appealing option. I surely did consider it. However, with any motor with any sort of mileage, I personally believe it is smart to upgrade and or refresh valve springs, retainers, and everything else to make sure you're good to go when running that boost. So that is where my advice comes from. With these known issues and flaws, I felt that getting rid of the issues with the pre-eagle cylinder heads and improving performance and efficiency while swapping cylinder heads was a huge plus, while doing a camshaft and swapping exhaust headers and everything else. Either way, it's a huge improvement whether you're staying naturally aspirated or you're looking to introduce forced induction at some point in time. A more efficient motor or a higher compression motor will make more power at the same boost level, or the same power as before at a lower boost level. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped. I'll see you in the next one.